What's up, guys? It's Preston with Crooked Shack, and welcome to another episode of my Motovlog. If you can't tell looking, we're at a race and I'm on a four-wheeler. So a lot's happened as far as like the stuff that we've been up to lately. We haven't really been able to record a lot of video, with the exception of this race that you're watching. I did do a Motovlog video for you guys and was out recording it, and my bike broke, and I started to put together a video for that and was gonna kind of make it all dramatic, or whatever, just for entertainment value, but I kept having issues with the video, and so I just decided to scrap it. But here we are at AXC season 2020 round 1, and Leanne and I are both running novice class. She was on her Raptor 250, and I borrowed Tyler's, Deedah's, to go race on. This race is at Pitbull Power Sports in Bolivar, Missouri. And back there at the start, I was sitting there waiting because we had actually already taken off, and Leanne had been having some start problems with her four-wheeler. Turns out her starter clutch went bad, and I put a new one on it, and the teeth were messed up on her starter. So I bought a cheap Amazon starter, and it won't start the quad. I mean, it will, but you have to put like a jump pack and bend over backwards to get it to start. And since the race, we've narrowed it down. We ended up buying a battery there at the venue and all this other stuff. And anyway, she got a start, and I waited for that after that big hill climb that I did back there, and she never came over. So I thought, well, I won't see her again unless I stop and she passes me or I come back around. And that was kind of how we had talked about it and planned it out, anyway, because of her starting problem. So I thought, well, I'll go ahead and make a lap and come around and see if I can see her. So anyway, I just decided to go ahead and take off, and here we are coming into the first woods section. It was pretty cold here. It was a really fun venue, and it's one of those things where, if it had been a little warmer, it would have been nice, but shoot, the track was so much fun that it really kind of made up for that. I ended up doing 5 laps, and didn't have the best lap times, but didn't have the worst. You can see it's kind of rough terrain and stuff, but all was good until about the 3rd lap. I started losing the chain, and I didn't have anybody at the pits and no tools with me to tighten the chain up, at least not the tools that are needed. And it was just a mistake on my part. But what ended up happening with Leanne was that first big hill climb back there, she made it up to the top and stalled it, and there was a couple guys up there helping people. Look at this ice right here. The first couple laps, we were busting ice out there. It was so cold that morning. Anyway, back to Leanne. She got up to the top of that hill climb, stalled her four-wheeler. Obviously, the starter's bad. It won't start. So a couple guys were there helping people, thankfully. And man, I just about wiped out right there. I don't know if you guys saw that. GoPros have a tendency to flatten everything out, and you can't tell how steep that was coming up to that log jump. I just wasn't ready for it. But those two guys started Leanne's four-wheeler, and she thought, well, you know what? Rather than it die on me out in the woods and not be able to restart it, I'm just gonna ride it back to the pits and just call it quits. And she was really bummed out. She was excited that she got up that first hill climb, but was bummed out she didn't get to really do any racing. And I don't blame her. I felt pretty terrible about it. And anyway, we've got it diagnosed now and everything. And actually today, while I'm recording the audio for this episode for you guys, they're running round 2 over in Pettigrew, Arkansas at Andrew Judy's place. And I think they call it the Headwater Hare Scramble. Today's the ATV race, tomorrow's the dirt bike race, and I wanted to go so bad. Leanne's quad still isn't fixed, and she was going to let me go, and she was going to sit it out. And up until last night, I was still going to go, but we talked about it, and with everything going on with this COVID-19 nonsense and all that, we just figured maybe it was for the best to just pass this time. Because the problem's not the races. You actually have pretty limited direct contact with anything everybody else touches at the races. And you can stay away from each other for the most part, but it's the commuting to and from the race, stopping for food, stopping for gas, and you don't know who's carrying it and who's not. You don't want to pass it around, and we figured it was for the best to do our part as far as preventing the spread, So yeah, this race course was a lot of fun, though. It was the first time that AXC's ever been at this particular venue, and what they are is they're a power sports dealer that has like a trail system there on their property, and it looks like it's an old rock quarry, and it was pretty fun. I made the mistake of not wiping off my goggles. You can see I hit something right there that kicked the rear end around, and I got past several times. I think all in all at the end of this race, according to the original results before all my laps were counted, because they had some technical difficulties, it showed me coming in 5th. In novice, I actually came in 4th. And yeah, so it was a pretty good time, though. It was pretty neat. I wish that I had brought all the proper tools, but that's lesson learned. It's a newbie mistake, so it is what it is. You can just see how wet some of these holes got too. I mean, it was just wild after a while, but got past again there. There were some pretty fun spots too. There's one coming up here shortly that you'll see right here. It doesn't look real steep. It's small, but it was actually pretty steep, and throughout the day it got more and more rutted out, so it was more of a challenge to go up and over that, and it was nothing crazy hard, but it made it fun for sure. Another spot coming up here shortly. Later, I don't think I really caught any air right there. Later I got a little more confident. What you're seeing right now is the first lap, and I was definitely taking it a little bit easier because of that. My first lap was, and then I also had missed a turn and stopped and got turned around and went back on the race course, and all that stuff. So my first lap was a good 10 minutes slower than the rest, so that was pretty fun too. I think they called that like the fishbowl or something like that, but it's just a big banked turn. Right there I was waving at Leanne to say, she was waving me to keep going. I was going to pull off the track. I felt bad that she wasn't racing. That was, again, first lap, but there was a road crossing right there, and we had happened to set up our pit right next to the road, so. And again, I apologize for all the mud and junk all over the camera. I know it makes it kind of hard to see what's going on, but anyway, and also another thing too was for battery life. I attempted to run 1080p with no hypersmooth. And I think what I'm going to do next time, because it's impossible to record the whole race anyway, I'm going to go ahead and run stabilization, turn hypersmooth on, turn it on 4K, and if I only get half an hour of video, I can still trim it down and make a video for you guys for whenever we race in round 3, and I'll make sure that it's adjusted a little bit better. As far as my bike goes, actually what ended up happening with it is I went out to record a Motovlog episode for you guys, and my bike was running like crap, and it kept dying and kept dying. Talking about my XR200. Well, it finally quit, and it seized up, okay? So I took it apart, and turns out that it lost oil to the top end. There was something plugging one of the oil passages, and so it seized the bushing on the end of the camshaft, so I need a camshaft, some rocker arms, a few other odds and ends, and I haven't gotten around to fixing it yet. I did pick up a four-wheeler, so the next... maybe not the next Crooked Shack video, but the next Motovlogs video, you'll see that. So look forward to that. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you guys next time. Appreciate it.